Second part of Chapter 2 of Mutual Aid, a Factor of Evolution. This is a LibraVox recording. All LibraVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit libravox.org. Recording by Enko. Mutual Aid, a Factor of Evolution by Peter Kropotkin. Second part of Chapter 2, Mutual Aid among Animals, open bracket, continued, close bracket. Sociability, that is, the need of the animal of associating with its like, the love of society for society's sake, combined with the joy of life, only now begins to receive due attention from the zoologist. Such monographs as the chapter on music and dancing in nature, which we have in Hudson's Naturalist on the La Plata, and Carl Gross' Play of Animals, have already thrown a considerable light upon an instinct which is absolutely universal in nature. We know at the present time that all animals, beginning with the ants, going on to the birds, and ending with the highest mammals, are fond of plays, wrestling, running after each other, trying to capture each other, teasing each other, and so on. And while many plays are, so to speak, a school for the proper behavior of the young in mature life, there are others which, apart from their utilitarian purposes, are, together with dancing and singing, mere manifestations of an excess of forces, the joy of life, and a desire to communicate in some way or another with other individuals of the same or of other species, in short, a manifestation of sociability proper, which is a distinctive feature of all the animal world. Not only numerous species of birds possess the habit of assembling together, in many cases always at the same spot, to indulge in antics and dancing performances, but W. H. Hudson's experience is that nearly all mammals and birds (probably there are really no exceptions) indulge frequently in more or less regular or set performances, with or without sound, or composed of sound exclusively (page 264). Whether the feeling be fear, experienced at the appearance of a bird of prey, or a fit of gladness which bursts out when the animals are in good health and especially when young, or merely the desire of giving play to an excess of impressions and of vital power, the necessity of communicating impressions, of playing, of chattering, or of simply feeling the proximity of other kindred living beings, pervades nature, and is, as much as any other physiological function, a distinctive feature of life and impressionability. This need takes a higher development and attains a more beautiful expression in mammals, especially amidst their young, and still more among the birds, but it pervades all nature, and has been fully observed by the best naturalists, including Pierre Huber, even amongst the ants, and it is evidently the same instinct which brings together the big columns of butterflies which have been referred to already. The habit of coming together for dancing and of decorating the places where the birds habitually perform their dances is of course well known from the pages that Darwin gave to this subject in The Descent of Man (chapter 13). Visitors of the London Zoological Gardens also know the bower of the satin bower bird, but this habit of dancing seems to be much more widely spread than was formerly believed, and Mr. W. Hudson gives in his masterwork on La Plata the most interesting description, which must be read in the original, of complicated dances performed by quite a number of birds, rails, jacanas, lapwings, and so on. The habit of singing in concert, which exists in several species of birds, belongs to the same category of social instincts. It is most strikingly developed with the chakar (Shona chavaris), to which the English have given the most unimaginative misnomer of crested screamer. These birds sometimes assemble in immense flocks, and in such cases they frequently sing all in concert. W. H. Hudson found them once in countless numbers, ranged all round a pampas lake in well-defined flocks of about 500 birds in each flock. Presently, he writes, one flock near me began singing, and continued their powerful chant for 3 or 4 minutes. When they ceased, the next flock took up the strains, and after it the next, and so on, until once more the notes of the flocks on the opposite shore came floating strong and clear across the water, then passed away, growing fainter and fainter, until once more the sound approached me travelling round to my side again. On another occasion, the same writer saw a whole plain covered with an endless flock of chakars, not in close order, but scattered in pairs and small groups. About 9 o'clock in the evening, suddenly the entire multitude of birds covering the marsh for miles around burst forth in a tremendous evening song. It was a concert well worth riding 100 miles to hear. For the choruses of monkeys, see Brehm. It may be added that, like all sociable animals, the chakar easily becomes tame and grows very attached to man. They are mild-tempered birds and very rarely quarrel, we are told, although they are well provided with formidable weapons. Life in societies renders these weapons useless. That life in societies is the most powerful weapon in the struggle for life, taken in its widest sense, has been illustrated by several examples on the foregoing pages, and could be illustrated by any amount of evidence, if further evidence were required. Life in societies enables the feeblest insects, the feeblest birds, and the feeblest mammals to resist or to protect themselves from the most terrible birds and beasts of prey. It permits longevity. It enables the species to rear its progeny with the least waste of energy and to maintain its numbers, albeit a very slow birth rate. It enables the gregarious animals to migrate in search of new abodes. Therefore, while fully admitting that force, swiftness, protective colours, cunningness, and endurance to hunger and cold, which are mentioned by Darwin and Wallace, are so many qualities making the individual or the species the fittest under certain circumstances, we maintain that under any circumstances, sociability is the greatest advantage in the struggle for life. Those species which willingly or unwillingly abandon it are doomed to decay, while those animals which know best how to combine have the greatest chances of survival and of further evolution, although they may be inferior to others in each of the faculties enumerated by Darwin and Wallace, save the intellectual faculty. The highest vertebrates, and especially mankind, are the best proof of this assertion. As to the intellectual faculty, while every Darwinist will agree with Darwin that it is the most powerful arm in the struggle for life, and the most powerful factor of further evolution, he also will admit that intelligence is an eminently social faculty. Language, imitation, and accumulated experience are so many elements of growing intelligence, of which the unsociable animal is deprived. Therefore we find, at the top of each class of animals, the ants, the parrots, and the monkeys, all combining the greatest sociability with the highest development of intelligence. The fittest are thus the most sociable animals, and sociability appears as the chief factor of evolution, both directly, by securing the well-being of the species while diminishing the waste of energy, and indirectly, by favouring the growth of intelligence. Moreover, it is evident that life in societies would be utterly impossible without a corresponding development of social feelings, and especially of a certain collective sense of justice growing to become a habit. If every individual were constantly abusing its personal advantages without the others interfering in favour of the wronged, no society life would be possible, and feelings of justice develop, more or less, with all gregarious animals. Whatever the distance from which the swallows or the cranes come, each one returns to the nest it has built or repaired last year. If a lazy sparrow intends appropriating the nest which a comrade is building, or even steals from it a few sprays of straw, the group interferes against the lazy comrade, and it is evident that without such interference being the rule, no nesting association of birds could exist. Separate groups of penguins have separate resting places and separate fishing abodes, and do not fight for them. The droves of cattle in Australia have particular spots to which each group repairs to rest and from which it never deviates, and so on. Haygarth, Bush Life in Australia, page 58. We have any numbers of direct observations of the peace that prevails in the nesting associations of birds, the villages of the rodents, and the hordes of grass-eaters, while on the other side we know of few sociable animals which so continually quarrel as the rats in our cellars do, or as the mouses which fight for the possession of a sunny place on the shore. Sociability thus puts a limit to physical struggle, and leaves room for the development of better moral feelings. The high development of parental love in all classes of animals, even with lions and tigers, is generally known. As to the young birds and mammals, whom we continually see associating, sympathy, not love, attains a further development in their associations. Leaving aside the really touching facts of mutual attachment and compassion which have been recorded as regards domesticated animals and with animals kept in captivity, we have a number of well-certified facts of compassion between wild animals at liberty. Max Perty and L. Buchner have given a number of such facts